Hello and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Well, this is lecture number 15 of Indian Polity, which we are going to discuss today, and the date is 24th June 2025. Well, before we'll start our discussion, I would like to give the brief introduction about this initiative, which we started from 2nd June, so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. You know, from 2nd June, we started an initiative, namely Target IAS 2026. Under this initiative, every day we are uploading two videos. One in the morning session, where we discuss the daily news analysis, and second in the evening session, where we discuss the static syllabus of yours. So here what we do in the morning session, we will take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We will discuss them, we will break them down, and we will show you how you can relate it with your preparation with respect to prelims and mains. And in this session, which would be uploaded in the evening, in this session we will discuss your static syllabus. And we had promised you that by the month of Jan 2026 we are going to complete your full syllabus. We will discuss every subject which is important for your preparation. We will discuss that. We will discuss in very detail, and we will keep into the consideration both your prelims preparation as well as mains preparation. But here is an exception. What is that? We are not going to take the optional classes. So that is the only exception here, and also the language classes. And with that, as we are delivering the lectures, at the same time we are preparing your notes. We are preparing your notes, and those notes are formed in such a way that it would be useful for you both prelims as well as mains, because after every topic which we discuss there, we will come up with the example questions with previous year questions as well as few new model questions which can be relevant for your preparation. So if you want to get the access of these notes, you just have to mail us, get connected with us. We will share these notes with you for only 200 rupees per subject. You will have to pay 200 rupees per subject, then these notes would be available to you, and these notes will be available once we will complete the syllabus of each subject. For example, once we will complete this syllabus of Indian Polity, then Indian Polity notes would be available, and it is up to you if you want to get access to these notes. These are available for you guys. Now with this this is about the initiative. If you want to be the part of it, if you want us to lead you, we would be more happy to do so. So please do subscribe the channel, do share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative, and also please do write in the comments what else should we bring for you guys. Now with this, let's have a look what we have to discuss today. Recently in our last class we completed the fundamental duties. We discussed the part 4 of the Indian Constitution, part 4 and part 4a, and then we started with part 5 of the Indian Constitution. And in part 5 we have to discuss the union and executive. And in this I told you a question in a prelims can be asked: what contains this union and executive in our constitution? It contains the office of the president, the vice president, then also the prime minister, council of ministers, and then the attorney general of India. So these are the members, these are the offices which come under the union executive. Now then we started with the president of India. I told you let's start with the president of India. In the first thing what we discussed about the Article 52 of the Indian Constitution. What does the Constitution say? Constitution say about the President of India. We saw that we have Article 52, which is one of the smallest article, which says there shall be the President of India, and it says that there shall be the President of India. So if we look at the language here, that the focus on the shall. If we look at the language, it means that this office can never remain vacant. This office can never remain vacant. So this office can never remain vacant. But there are chances that if we had elected the president, how we can remove him? There are chances. He may violate the constitution. For example, he may appoint anybody. He may appoint me as the minister without consulting the without consulting the PM and the council of ministers. He may appoint me without even contesting the election. He may, in this way, he may violate the constitution, and for that he may be impeached. So this is also one way this office may remain vacant. Second, these can be the chances that this office can remain vacant, but we are discussing this as per Article 52. This office shall never remain vacant. Then second, unfortunately, he may die too. He may die too. And third way, he may give the she may give the resignation. So these are the ways. But when this process is done, for example, if a president dies, then directly the vice president of the country, he will be the president. So this office, the point why I am highlighting these situations right now, the reason for that is that this office can never remain vacant according to Article 52. Then we also discussed, after that we also discussed that what was the need for having the prime ministerial form of the government. Why? Even though we had the president, he is in a way, we discussed that he enjoys the executive powers under article. He enjoys what Article 53, what does it say? Article 53, let's see what does it say. It says that all the executive powers are vested in president. What does it say? It says all executive powers are vested in president. So this article 53 says all executive powers are vested with president. So what does it mean? It shows the importance of the president. By reading this article 53, we can understand that how much important he is. And here in the last class I told you one thing, that what is this executive power. So we then we ended the class. Now here we are going to discuss what is this executive power first. There is no definition of the executive power in the constitution does not define about what this executive power is. So if constitution is not clear about what executive power is, whom we can consult then? It is the judiciary which we will look at. Judiciary will decide what this executive power is. For that we have a case, a very famous case, namely Ram Javaya Kapoor case in 1955. In this, the judiciary decided that it puts some light on the executive powers. It said that for example, determining the policies, what policies they should implementing, for example, they have to implement these policies for their president is important. For example, having a foreign relationships, what kind of relationship which we should have with China, either we should go for the war against Pakistan or not, it will be decided by the president. From where we are going to purchase the oil, these things would be it should be done by the president. These are the executive powers which are vested with the president, but still it is not clear. Then there is a saying by Wade and Bradley. They had written about Wade and Bradley. They had written about the executive powers, and they say whatever is left, we have the legislative powers. Second, we have the judiciary powers. What Wade and Bradley says, they say whatever is left after the legislative powers and the judiciary powers, that becomes the executive power. So it is the residual power, whatever is left beyond the legislative powers and the judiciary powers, that is the executive powers. Now here we understood that what are the executive powers, how important this office is as per Article 53. Then shouldn't be that the president should be the because of these powers, the way he is enjoying it, he is the supreme head. He is as per Article 52, this office can never remain vacant. Article 53 says, the executive powers are vested with the president, and all the powers beyond legislative and judicial powers are the executive powers. Then this office is so it is so powerful office, then then president should enjoy everything. The highest respect should be enjoyed by the president in real sense also. But is it really so with respect to India? Is it really so? The question is, with respect to India, is it really so? Is the president the supreme? Is the president the head of the government? We when we will discuss further, there we will see that the president has to do everything by the advice of the, by whose advice? By the advice of the PM and the Council of Ministers. Then the question is, if we have Article 52, we have Article 53, then according to them, he is the sole supreme. He is the sole supreme. But that is not the case. To understand Article 52 and 53, we have to discuss them. We have to understand Article 52 and 53 with respect to Article. We have to discuss these articles, Article 52 and 53, with respect to Article 74 of the Indian Constitution. So we have to discuss them to understand the importance of Article 52 and 53. To understand them more properly, we have to discuss them with Article 74 of Indian Constitution. One thing I just came to my mind right now. There is a criticism to Indian Constitution. Criticism. You need to know about this, because we will write it in the notes too. First criticism that we had, there is nothing Indian in our constitution. Whatever we had borrowed it from the other countries. So it is a borrowed constitution. Then the another criticism is that it is too lengthy. Another criticism is that it is more concentrated towards the center. Another criticism is that the amendment process is very hard. For some, amendment process is very easy. And one of the criticism is that the articles, they are in a jingled manner. They are not properly, there is no sequence to the articles. That we will understand. So here Article 52 and 53, what does it say? It says that there shall be the President of India, and all the executive powers remain with the President. But then he should be the supreme? No, he is not the supreme. He is not the real head. Then how we can understand these articles? To understand these articles, we have to read them with respect to Article 74 of the Indian Constitution. So what does the Article 74 say? Initially, Article 74 was very much clear. It was very much simple. What it said initially, it said that there shall be a council of ministers headed by PM. There shall be a council of ministers headed by PM to aid and advise whom? To aid and advise the president. So this is what Article 74 initially says. This is what Article 74 initially says, before 25th constitutional amendment earlier, and then by the 42nd and 44th constitutional amendment. Before that, what Article 74 says? It says that there shall be a council of ministers, and this council of ministers, it should be headed by the PM. What would be the purpose of this? To aid and advise the president. Now there was a discussion when the constitution was framed. There was a discussion about the type of governance which we should have in our country. Should we opt for the presidential form, or should we opt for the parliamentary form? We discussed that in our yesterday's class. Why we went for the parliamentary form? Because our leniency towards the British government, we had already been habitual of the parliamentary form of government. We had Government of India Act 1935. So we were very much habitual of that. So because of that, we opted for that. Now the question was, about which type of government we have, and it was very much made clear by the Rajendra Prasad in the assembly. What he said, that our government, which we are going to have here, the form of the government, it would be the British. It should have a British parliamentary nature. Nature. It should have a British parliamentary nature. What does that mean? That, for example, in British, they also have the parliament, but that is in monarchy type. here we have the republic. There is the head of this head of the state is the king or the queen. Here head of the state is president, but the head of the government is the PM, and here head of the government is PM. So according to him, that it is the parliamentary form, what the parliament will decide, that will prevail. So this was the discussion made in the assembly. But soon after the constitution came into the picture, soon after that the issue arose with respect to the Somnath Mandir. With respect to the Somnath Mandir, they wanted to inaugurate it. So the issue came with respect to the president, that president wanted to visit it. President, the Rajendra Prasad, same person who said that we are opting for the British type of the parliament, where the council of ministers will decide and the president will accept the advice. He will do in what way the parliament will decide. So he was the president and he wanted to visit it. Here was the PM at that time was Jawaharlal Nehru. What he said to him, that please don't go there, because you are in the office, you are the president of the country, and if you will go to this visit, what it will lead to, it will show that it will there would be, it would picture as that the state has a religion. So he restricted him to not to go there, but he said that I have a person in me who has the alliance to my religion. I want to go there. I want to I want to be the part of this inauguration. So I want to do puja there, whatever he wanted to do there. So he said that this is Article 25 in our constitution, we should do it. And at the same time, when the Jawaharlal Nehru was the president, prime minister, he said that where in the constitution is it mentioned that I have to obey, I had to obey the advice of yours. Where it in the constitution is it mentioned that I have to obey the advice of yours? What is that advice? That what Article 74 says initially. What does it said? That there shall be a council of ministers headed by the PM to aid and advise the president. So he said that where in the constitution is it mentioned? So whatever the matter went, what was the result of that? It is not our headache to understand that. But the point is, there was a confusion always there. There was always confusion with respect to that. So then Indira Gandhi came. How much different person she was. Her attitude was different. Maybe she had discussed it with respect with her father, and they had a discussion with respect to Article 74, how it can be, be a limiting factor in their governance. So what she did, she amended the constitution. And she said 24th Constitutional Amendment Act, and she said that in this amendment, she said that it was earlier. She said that whenever I want to bring in the constitutional amendment bill, for that the president has to give the assent. He can't say no, he can't withhold, he has to give the assent. First thing she did, by the 24th Constitutional Amendment, that president has to give the assent to what? To the constitutional amendment bill. So this is so far this much, yet there has nothing with respect to other bills, no discussion yet. After that, by the 40th, then she again brought up the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1976. What she said, now why are we limiting the power of the why there is so limit to our powers? Let's limit the powers of the president. What she did, that the advice which we are giving, she amended Article 74. She said that the advice which we are giving to the president shall abide by this advice. The president under the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, she said that the president shall act on the advice. What she said, under the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, what was introduced, that the advice the Council of Ministers and the PM is giving to the president, which was not earlier mentioned that it is binding on the president, but she added few words that this advice the president shall act on the advice. It became binding for him, act on the advice. So it in a way restricted the powers of the president. Earlier there was a discussion, there can be the discussion that whether president should act on the advice or not. Now it was very much clear that the president has to act on the advice. Now still The government changed it after that. you know the Janta party came in, and during 42nd amendment act, there were Janta party promised that everything would be reversed, which was brought in by the 42nd constitutional amendment act. Everything would be reversed. So president also thought, maybe they will reverse this also. I will regain my initial position. But they did opposite to that. By the 44th constitutional amendment act, what they said, what they inserted, that the president shall act on advice, but once he can, you know the president shall act on the advice, but the president may ask for the reconsideration. Once the bill is given to him, he may ask for reconsideration. Once the bill is again given to him, again passed by, once the bill is again referred to him, then he shall give the accent, or he shall act on it. So in a way it is same thing, but here little difference, that he may advise them to reconsider. By the 44th constitutional amendment act, he may advise them to reconsider, but this advice is not binding on the council of ministers. They may reconsider, they may respect the president and reconsider it. They may not respect the office, they may pass it the way it was earlier, and then president has to give the accent. So this is the news, this is the present day status of the article 74 of the Indian constitution. When we read it with article 52 and 53 of the Indian constitution, then we analyze that it is not the president, it is not the president who is the real head. It is the PM and his council of ministers who is the real head. It is the council of ministers and the PM, and right now, if we will see, it is the PM and the home minister who is the real head. This much is clear, I guess. Everything is clear so far. Now there is another discussion with respect to the president's powers. Here you can ask me a question, or you can ask yourself a question, that what are the powers enjoyed by the president? Powers, there are many powers enjoyed by the president. He is, without his signature, nothing can do, but his signature is, there is council of ministers who will tell him to sign in this way. So in nutshell, what are his discretionary powers? What are the discretionary powers he enjoys? That is the big question. And if you analyze the president of office by the Indian constitution, you will see that there is only one discretionary power which he enjoys, and that discretionary power is that he can appoint PM on his will. But this is also situation based. This is situation based. For example, right now, after 2024 elections, it was very much clear that BJP has won the election, their alliance has won the election. And who was the leader? It was very much clear, it is the PM Narendra Modi, who is going to be the PM of the country. But suppose if there was suppose if in 2024 the election happened in that way, that the Congress, they got 150 seats, BJP, they got 150 seats, and so there was no clear winner of this election. No alliance was the clear winner of the election. Then there was the need of the coalition, that the parties would come together to form the government. In this case, it is up to president to appoint whom he thinks that he is better. He can appoint any person from them to the and they can become the president. He can become the prime minister. Now the question is, can he appoint me so that I can become the prime minister? Yes, of course he can appoint anybody, but is it possible? He may appoint me as the prime minister, but after some time there may be vote of no confidence. I would be nowhere, and it would be disgrace to his office. So he will act in this way. with respect to the coalition, with respect to the, if there is no major political party, no major alliance, then the coalition will be formed, and in that regard he has this discretionary power to appoint anyone as the president. So this is so far. And also in the yesterday's class we discussed the status of the president, how he is the de jure, which or de jure we can say, the nominal head of the state. And also we established yesterday he is the first citizen of the country, About this, about the sequence of citizens, a question may be asked in the prelims, so for that I will write them in my notes also. And if you are not following my, if you will not follow my notes, but go through the books whatever you like, and do remember this, remember the sequence of these people, of these offices. This question is often asked in the exam. So here till now we are very much clear. Then there was another question, you would have heard about, yet we had not, actually if I will be more honest, we had not yet started discussing it. We are just establishing few factors here so that you will get the idea about Article 52, 53 and Article 74. There was another question before the court in the Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab. Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab. What was the question? It was basically about a judge, a district judge who was removed by the governor. We don't need to discuss the case here, but the point what was established in this, there you would have often heard one term that if the president is satisfied, president can impose the presidential rule. If the president is satisfied, you would have often heard this. So this word satisfied, there was discussion about it. What is this satisfied? What does it mean? Is it the satisfaction of the personal president? Is it the satisfaction of Draupadi Murmu? Or is it the satisfaction of the Council of Ministers? Then here it was established that it is the satisfaction of the Council of Ministers and the Prime Minister. So this thing is very much now clear. We also understood the discretionary power. We understood Article 52, which says that there shall be the President of India. Article 53, it says that all the executive powers are vested with him. We understood that by that it came to our mind that it is the supreme power. It is something which has the extraordinary powers, but that is not the case. We need to discuss, when we are reading those articles, we need to read that article with respect to Article 74. And here we understood that it is not the president actually who is enjoying those powers. It is the Council of Ministers advise whom they have to follow. The president is just a nominal head. We should not say that he is a rubber stamp in the exam, but in reality he is the rubber stamp, but we should not say that in the exam. So real powers, they lie with the Council of Ministers and the Prime Minister. So till now everything is clear. Now the question is, was there a debate in the Constitution Assembly that should we go for the presidential form of government or the prime ministerial form of the government? Definitely there was a debate, and even this debate continues till now. You would have heard about Shashi Tharoor. He is so much in favor of the presidential form of the government that he is fighting for that. Debate over. Now the another topic is debate over presidential form of government, and prime ministerial form of government. So there is a debate, or there was a debate whether we should go for the presidential form of government or we should go for the prime ministerial form of government, presidential and prime ministerial. So there was a debate in the National Assembly, Constitutional Assembly, with respect to that. And still this debate is still often in news. If you would have heard about Shashi Tharoor, he is so proponent of the presidential form of democracy that he wants that India should adopt that. And there are reasons to that. So first, why we adopted the prime ministerial form of democracy? What was the major reason? As I told you yesterday, that we were exposed to it. And when you are exposed to something, that after you get this independence, you would lean towards it. And also the another thing about the prime ministerial form of the democracy is that it is more accountable. This prime ministerial form of democracy is more accountable. Now let's understand the difference, then we will see why we adopted it. First, what is the presidential form of a system? In the presidential form of system, who is the real head? It is the president. In the prime minister form of system, who is the real head? It is the prime minister and council of ministers. If do we have any example of the presidential form of government? We have, definitely USA is there. Do we have example of PM, prime ministerial form of government? Definitely India is here. Then another question which we should ask, about what is the status of separation of power. We know that the president, the executive in the presidential form of government is not from the legislature. Donald Trump, even if his political party will lose the majority in the assembly, still Donald Trump will remain in the election. So there is absolute separation of power, absolute separation of power. But in the prime ministerial form of democracy, is there absolute separation of power between executive and legislature? No, because executive is drawn from legislature. Executive is drawn from legislature, and one thing you should note, that executive is responsible to the legislature. Then how this president is removed? Here we understood that even if his Donald Trump's party will lose the election, he will not lose his place. He will still be president for the 4 years. President remains in power regardless of his party's strength in the legislature. How is he removed? He may be president, may be removed through impeachment. And PM, how PM can be removed? If he loses the majority, he will definitely be removed from his government. If he loses the majority in Lok Sabha, if he loses majority in Lok Sabha. So here we understood that this presidential form of government, here the president always remains here. So it is very much static. It is this presidential form of government, it is very much static. It is it is always there. It is, he is not, no way, there is more stability in it. There is more stability in the government. But with respect to the prime ministerial form of government, there is less stability. Sometime no confidence motion can be put forward any time, and he may lose the majority and he may have to resign. So there is more stability in the presidential form of government than a prime ministerial form of government. But the question is, why we chose prime ministerial form of government? The first reason, because we were exposed to the prime ministerial form of government since the British era. Then also we chose accountability. If we will see the accountability, is president accountable? Presidential form of government, are they more accountable? No, the accountability is more in the prime ministerial form of the prime ministerial form of the government. So this accountability, he is more accountable. We can ask any question with respect to we ask him that why this policy is there. So this accountability is more with respect to the prime ministerial form of government, irrespective with the presidential form of government. Because of this accountability and our exposure to the prime ministerial form of government, we chose to have the prime ministerial form of the government. So this is the difference, and that's why we chose it. Now the another question is, we discussed so far what we understood. Let's try to recap it. Let's try to recap what we understood so far, and then we will move forward. First, we understood union and executive. What does union and executive contain? We understood that. What does union? Then we discussed it with the office of president. In office of president, we saw Article 52 and Article 53. It gave us the notation that how important he is. But is it really so? Let's look at the Article 74 and then read them together. Then we established that he is just a nominal head. The real head is the Council of Ministers, the Prime Minister. Then we saw that, then we discussed what was the need for going for the presidential form of, for the prime ministerial form of government. We understood that also. And with respect to president, we established a few facts, how he is the first citizen, and this office can never remain vacant. We established these facts, and we also then we differentiated between the presidential form of government and the prime ministerial form of government. And finally, we, as you know, we understood that why we opted for the prime ministerial form of the government, because we chose accountability over stability. Prime parliament is more accountable to the people, so because of that, we chose the prime ministerial form of government. And then we also discussed that this debate is still there, that we should convert back to the we should convert to the presidential form of government. It is a debate. Shashi Tharoor is the main proponent of this. But is it possible right now with this constitution? The answer to it is big no. Why? Because the parliamentary system of government is a part of the basic structure of the constitution, which we discussed in our last class. Why it is not possible? Because the parliamentary system of government is the part of basic structure. So this is the right now, this is the status. We cannot change it. But if government changes it, they can bring in the amendment, then the case will go to the court, and courts may decide that it is no more, it may not be the basic structure. They may give a different verdict with respect to that. But with present constitution, with present verdicts of the judiciary, it is established that it is the basic structure and it can be changed. Now let's move to the another topic, which is the election of the president. Let's try to understand the election of the president. So far, I guess everything is very much clear. Let's see what are the criteria required for the election of the president. Let's break them down. Election of the president which article deals with election? It is article 54 of Indian constitution. With respect to this president, with respect to union executive, you don't have to memorize every article here, but try to remember. It is good to remember, but if you are not able to remember every article, that is not that important, as the fundamental rights are important, not that important. But still, try to memorize as much articles as you can, and more than that, try to understand the concept. If your concept is clear, then everything is sorted. Mostly in examiner, they are not going to ask you which article with respect to the president, which article is related to that. They are not going to ask you in this way. So what does the article 54 say? It talks about the who will elect the president. It is the electoral college. Who is going to elect? Is the president in India elected by the people by the direct elections? No. Now the question is, why there is no direct elections for the office of president? If there were the direct elections for the office of the president, then the status of the president would have been equal to the status of PM. Even it may have been more important than the PM, because he would say that I had been also elected by the people, you are also elected by the people, so we are equal in this regard. And another thing, it was not desirable. Why to waste so much money in the elections? When we can elect him in a different way. We have an electoral college which we had borrowed from the USA. We will have an electoral college which will elect the president. And what does this electoral college consist of? That is what we have to understand here. Electoral college. What does it consist of? It consists of the elected members of both the houses of the parliament. Here, please do remember these points very well, because they are so important, and often students make mistake in these. Electoral college of the president, and I swear, when I was, giving my exams, I also made mistake when I applied such questions. So that's why I'm teaching you by my personal experience also. So electoral college, what does it consist of? It consists of the elected members of both houses of the both houses of the parliament, the elected members of both houses of the parliament, whether Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha, who are the elected members, they will contest this, they will go for the voting, and they belong to the electoral college. And second, the elected members of the legislative assemblies of the state, the elected members of the legislative assembly of the state. Do we contain legislative council in this status? No, that's not contained. Only the legislative assemblies of the state and those elected members. So here in the Rajya Sabha we have 12 nominated members. Can they vote in this? No, they cannot vote. In Lok Sabha we used to have 3 Anglo-Indians. Can they vote? No, they cannot vote. So it is the elected members of the both houses of the parliament which are the part of the electoral college, and the elected members of the legislative assemblies of the state. What does this legislative assemblies of state, does it contain Delhi? Yes, because it is a UT and it has a legislative assembly. Does it contain Puducherry? Yes, it has the UT and it has the assembly. Does it contain J&K? We are not clear about it. Some say it contains J&K because when J&K was introduced, when it was reduced to UT, and it was made clear that whatever applies to Puducherry applies to J&K. So with respect to that, it should also be, but what it should also be, it should also be the part of electoral college. But at the same time, there is another discussion which says no, by this it can't be the part of the electoral college. And what is that? According to that argument, when the assemblies from Jammu and Kashmir, when the state, legislative assemblies of Delhi and Puducherry, they were included in the electoral college. For that, there was a new amendment was created. So they say that if they have to include J&K, they have to amend the constitution for that. Well, it is yet into the discussion. The government says J&K is also the part of the electoral college, but experts say no, in this way it can't be. So let us see when there would be election in 2027, then we will see what would be the status of it. Maybe till then J&K would be elevated back to the statehood, then the condition would be totally different. Then we would never know the answer to it. So till now we understood the electoral college also. Then this is what Article 54 says. This is what first question was, who will elect? Now the another question is, they are going to elect, what would be the value of their votes? This is the another question. What will be the value of their votes? Let me rub it first. Now if we are electing, there would be the MLAs from Sikkim, there would be the MLA from UP. The population is different, the representation is different, representation ratio is different. So the question is the value of the prime minister, is the value of the MLA voting from the Sikkim equal to the value of the MLA voting from UP? So this question is, now let's try to understand this through Article 53 of the Indian Constitution. Article 53 of the Indian Constitution. What does Article 53 say? It says that as far as practical, there shall be uniformity in the scale of representation of different states at the election of the president. It says that Article 53, it says as far as practical, there shall be uniformity. There shall be uniformity. As far as practical, there shall be uniformity in the scale of representation of the different states at the election of the president. In the scale of representation of the different states at the election of the president. So as much as possible, there should be the unity in it. There should be uniformity in it. Now let's try to understand that what this uniformity is. Let's try to understand that, how this can be achieved. For the MPs, here this question was also asked in, I guess, in UPSC or state civil service exam, but it is very much relevant for both. That with respect to the, I don't remember was it really asked in UPSC or it was asked in a state civil service exam, that I have confusion. So here you have to note few points. What are these points? For the presidential elections, the MPs votes, the value of MPs votes, value of MPs votes are equal. Whether the value of MP, if there is MP from Lok Sabha and MP from Raj Sabha, the value of their votes is equal. And how this value is achieved, and this value would be achieved by the formula which you don't need to remember, but still this value is achieved by this formula: total value of votes of all MLAs, total value of votes of all MLAs, MPs, MLAs, uh, divided by total number of representation, divided by total number of representation. That would be the value of votes of all MLAs divided by total number of representation would be the value of votes of an MP. Value of vote of an MP of Raj Sabha is equal to value of vote of an MLA. Now the question is with respect to the value of vote of whom? The question is with respect to the value of vote of the MLAs. The question is with respect to the value of vote of the MLAs. Now let's try to find out a method. This method in itself is not that important for your preparation, but the concept is important. You should understand the concept. That is the important thing. What does it say? For example, we have the we have different states. We have UP, we have Sikkim, very small state. Here the representation is huge, and here representation is very small. So is it fair that the value of the vote of the MLA from UP should be equal to value of the vote of the MLA from Sikkim? It is not fair. So how we can get this vote? How we can assign value to this vote? So this assignment, and how we can assign the value to the vote, it is based on the total population. So what is the representation? The value of the vote is it is proportional to the population. So what is the formula? The formula is total population divided by total number of elected members, total number of elected members into 1 by 1000. This is the formula to get the value of the vote of an MLA. And this value of the vote of an MLA, it is used then further to find the value of the votes of MPs. And for the MP of the Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha, the value of the vote is same. Now in this way, now here is a question you can ask me, that what is the status of total population? Which census would be considered under this? It is the census of 1971, which is considered what was the population at that time. Then with respect to that, it would be it would be understood that census is considered. Now you may ask a question about the Telangana, who was separated from Andhra Pradesh in 2014. So what is the status of Telangana? Then the answer is same. What were the 10 districts? What was the population of these 10 districts in 1971? Then only this could be achieved. So this is with respect to the value of the vote. Now the another question here, I hope you had understood the first thing with respect to the election of the president, that who elects them? It is the electoral college. Then we understood that after that we also understood after electoral college we understood second thing, what is the value of the vote, what is the value of the vote. Then we also, now we have to understand in what way they are elected. Let's try to understand that in what way these people are elected, the president is elected. Let's try to understand that. For that, first we will understand two different concepts. Before understanding the way in which he is elected, first we will try to understand two different concepts. First we will try to understand two different concepts. The first concept which we should understand here is, you would have heard about first past the post system. first past the post system. You would had heard about first past the first past the post system. What under this system, how does you win an election? For example, there is a constituency. In this constituency, there are four political parties. Suppose BJP, Congress, and there would be some Aam Aadmi Party. Let's suppose, for example, BJP, it won. It got the 30% of the votes. Congress, it got, you know, 25% of the votes, and Aam Aadmi Party, they got the member from Aam Aadmi Party, he got 20% votes. Uh, what is the overall now? What is the status? 30% for BJP, 25, 55, 55, 20, 75, and rest 25. Suppose it is Nota. Let's suppose it is Nota. So in this election, which candidate won the election? By this method, by the first past the post system, who won the election? Definitely it is from the BJP. This candidate won the election. If we analyze it now, let's analyze. It is in this election, 70% of the people voted against BJP, but the winner is BJP. It is one of the drawback of the first past the post system. 70% voted against it, but still BJP is the winner, because BJP got more votes than the Congress, more votes than the Aam Aadmi Party and other parties who were contesting the elections. So this system is called the first past the post system. So there was a discussion in the parliament, that in the Constituent Assembly, that this system should also be adopted. First past the post system, it should be also adopted for the presidential election, but it was not agreed upon. This system was not agreed upon. Why it was not agreed upon? Because the president, the office of the president, it is not the political in nature, that is executive in nature, and he should be the if we are going to at the head of the state, he should be represented by he should get the representation of more than 50% of the seats. So this type was rejected, even though it has the drawbacks. Sometimes it can be the advantageous too, but it was rejected for the presidential election. So the drawbacks with first past the post system is very much clear. And in this, one of the major drawback is, even though the majority is against you, but still you are the winner. Now the question comes with respect to the another system. What is the opposite of this? What is the opposite of the first past the post system? What is opposite of this? And the answer to this is the proportional representation system. Answer to it is proportional representation system. Proportional representation system. So what is this proportional representation system? In the proportional representation system, suppose there are elections. Suppose whatever election is there are elections. If it was for the legislative assembly, there are elections, and in this election the BJP will get the 40% of the seats. Congress will get 35% of the seats. Aam Aadmi Party will get 25, and rest gets nothing. 40, 35, 25, it becomes it is 60%. So what would be the representation? If it is proportional representation, then 40%, for example, we have our the maximum number of member seats available, 443. Then 40% of the 443 seats would be to the BJP. 35% of it would be to the Congress. So everybody will have the equal share. Everybody will have his share in the government. But one of the drawback associated with it is that then people, the MLAs, they will not serve the people, they will serve the leader of the party. definitely, it will lead, there would be a confusion whom to elect, who will be elected for this post, who will be the MLA. If this system was in the legislative assemblies, then there would be the confusion that who is going to be the minister, who is going to be in the assembly. If 30 seats, 35 seats are from the Congress, then who is going to be the member there? Who are the members going to represent Congress there? Who will decide it? It will not be decided by the constituencies, because there is no concept of constituencies now. It will be decided by the discretion of the head of the party. So definitely then the members, they will start serving the party head rather than serving the people. They will try to satisfy the party head rather than satisfying the people. So that's why this system is not brought in the legislative assemblies. But definitely there is a need for the presidential election. There is need for this kind of system, because in the first past the post system, there is also a big drawback associated with it, because it is related to the states, it is related to the constituencies. It is, if it would be related to the constituencies, then if any political party, if any person will get more number of seats, for example, there are 28 states who are going to vote in the presidential elections. For example, there are 7 sister states, they will vote for a person, and also 2 plus 2 extra states. They will vote for him plus 3 extra states. They will vote for him, he will get the majority. But with respect to the population, and there is some other candidate, he is getting votes from UP, Bihar, and Rajasthan only, then definitely there would be, there would, it won't be proportional, it won't be good for the presidential election. So that's why it is being, rejected with respect to the presidential election. That's why the proportional representation system has been adopted, because it is more related to the population than related to the constituencies. So till now we understood that who is going to be the, what is going to be the electoral college. We understood that who are going to elect, what is the vote of the value, what is the value of the vote, and also we understood these two concepts. The first was the post system and proportional representation. This proportional representation is adopted in the presidential elections, but there is also a condition. Another condition is proportional. There should be the electoral college. There should be, the voting should be proportional representation system. Then the third condition is it is by single transferable vote. This voting is done by the single transferable vote. So what is this single transferable vote? For example, let me rub it first to explain you all this properly. What is this? What we are discussing? We are discussing single transferable vote now. Single transferable vote. What is this? First, we understood it is the electoral college. Who are the members of electoral college? Elected MPs of both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and elected members of the state legislative assemblies, including UTs of Delhi and Puducherry. So that we established it. After that, we understood the value of the vote, how it is different for different state MLAs, but for the MPs of the Rajya Sabha and MPs of the Lok Sabha, it is very much equal. After that, we discussed the first pause, the post system, and the proportional representation, which is followed in presidential election. The proportional representation is followed. After that, it is by single transferable vote. What is the single transferable vote? For example, this is the ballot paper, let's suppose, and there are different candidates who are contesting the election. Here is candidate A, here is candidate B, here is candidate C, and candidate D. Suppose these are the candidates who are contesting the election. So what will happen? The voters, the legislative assemblies election would happen in their legislative assemblies. There are people who are voting for, they will have their own preferences. For example, if I have to vote, I am the MLA. My first preference would be 1. My second preference would be D. My third preference would be B. My fourth preference would be C, let's suppose. Then similarly, the other person has fourth preference. Now, once the voting would be one done, then the calculation will start. And when it is calculated, it is found out that in the first preference, A got 40% of the votes. Let's suppose it is an hypothetical example. B gets 30% of the votes, C gets 20% of the votes, and A gets 10% of the votes. Let's suppose 20, 30, 40, 30, 70, and it is 100. Now what will happen? And there is a single transferable vote we are discussing. You know what will happen once this is counted in the first counting? What happens? They had got this type of votes. Now in this, the last one, it would be rejected. This would be, he would be eliminated. And what are the people who had voted for the option D, who was their first preference? Then their second preference would be checked, for whom they are voting for the second time. What were their second preference? For example, the second person preference, if the votes are divided, what was the second preference? Second preference was 5% for A and 5% was for B, let's suppose. Let's not make it more complicated. There are many complications with respect to this. Let's make it easy. Then the C, who had got only 20%, he will be eliminated, and his votes, the first preference and second preference, would be divided. What were his second preferences? For example, for these C, for this, their second preference was full 20% for this option B. So who will be elected as the president? It is option B. This candidate would be elected as the president. We were thinking that the first one will be elected. No, because by the principle of single transferable vote, he is not winning the election. So this would be, he would be elected as the president. This is what single transferable vote is about. You transfer first. What is your first preference? Then you will give your second preference. If in the first counting you are not able to get the absolute majority, if you are not able to get the majority above 50%, if you are not able to get the majority above 50%, then you will go for the recounting till the 50% is achieved for any of the candidate. And in this process, you will eliminate the last options. So this is the single transferable vote. Another feature of the presidential election is secret ballot. So there is a ballot paper would be given to it, and it would be secret. You cannot show to the people that I am voting for that particular person, then your vote will be invalid. So this is a secret ballot. You can't show to anyone. And one more thing, what about the whip? And does the party whip apply on during the presidential election? No, it does not apply, because it is a secret ballot. Nobody knows whom you are voting for. Then how can whip apply? Maybe if, for example, I belong to the BJP and they tell me to vote in favor of Draupadi Murmu, I'm not voting in favor of her. I would vote for somebody else. How would they know? Because it is a secret ballot. They will ask me, did you vote for her? I will say, I swear I voted for her. So there is no scope of the whip with respect to the presidential election. So till now, I guess this is very much clear. The election of the president is very much clear. Article 54. Now let's move. Article 54 and 55 is very much clear. The value of the vote and the electoral college, how he is elected, the single transferable vote. Now let's move to the another part. Before that we should had discussed the qualification, but somehow it did not came to my mind. Now let's highlight what is the criteria for the qualification of the president, because it is also very important to understand the criteria for the qualification of the president. That is also very much important. So the qualification is, who is the president going to be? This is the question. Before the election, we should have discussed this, but no issue. Here we will discuss who is going to be the president. What is the qualification of the president? Let's discuss that. First qualification, he should be the citizen of India. Citizen of India. If, for example, there is a person who has acquired the citizen of India by the way of naturalization, can he be the president? Yes, absolutely yes. Can he be president in USA? No, because there is a law in USA that only those people who are born in USA can be the citizen of USA, can be the president of USA. So it is very much clear, citizen of India, by any way you had occurred your citizenship, you can be the president, you can be the president of India. Second, is there any age limit? Yes, he should be above 35 years, 35 plus, he can be the citizen of India. Is there any upper limit? No, there is no upper limit. Then additional qualification prescribed by the parliament, or the additional qualifications prescribed by the parliament. Additional, this is in the constitution. Additional qualifications prescribed by the parliament. First, he should be registered voter by any in any particular constituency. Registered voter in any particular constituency. This should be the criteria. And second, he is not holding the office of the profit, not holding the office of profit. So this office of profit, if you remember, if you are very much concentrated in my class, you would know that it is second time we are discussing, we are again touching this office of profit. But just remember, here we will discuss it when we will discuss the parliament. There we will discuss that. So this is the qualification. So here we understood little bit about president. Qualification is clear. Election of the president is clear. Now once the election of the president is clear, then what happens? Then he will come, he has to give the oath, and let's discuss the oath now. Let's discuss the oath of the president. And this oath is given under Article 60 of the Indian Constitution. Let us discuss the oath. That's why I said that there is a one criticism to Indian Constitution, that articles are in a very haphazard manner, some articles. So here ideally it should have been in this way, but there is very much a haphazardness in the numbering of the articles. So oath, what is the oath here? Oath or affirmation under Article 60 of Indian Constitution. What does it say? It says oath or affirmation. Why is it write this oath or affirmation? Oath is for those who believe in God. They will uphold the Constitution by swearing on God, and affirmation is those for atheists or agnostics. So this is the basic difference. And what is this oath about? Who will conduct this oath of the president? Please know that also such question is often asked in the exam. It is the CGI who will conduct this oath, or the senior most judge if CGI is not present. CGI or the senior most judge, Chief Justice of India or the senior most judge. Then what is this oath? What is this oath about? To preserve, protect and defend the Constitution. The oath is about to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution. So this is the oath of the president. Now the another topic which is here, that the impeachment, which we will discuss today, and then from tomorrow we will try to discuss what are executive powers, what are various powers enjoyed by the president. So here the last topic of today's discussion is impeachment. So first here I would like to give you an important point. This term impeachment, if you are right now reading newspapers, there would be the discussion over the impeachment of judges, Mr. Yadav, who is involved in the corruption case. But I would like to note here that this impeachment term is only used for president. So please remember that this impeachment term in the Constitution is only used for the president. For the rest of the offices, what is used? It is the removal. The term removal is used, not impeachment. So impeachment only used for the president. Now we know that we understood that this office in the start of our today's discussion, that the Article 52 says that this office shall never remain vacant. There shall be the president of India, but there are chances that the office may remain vacant. For example, there can be the vacancy because of what? Because of their resignation. The president will give the resignation, and to whom he will give the resignation? President will give resignation to vice president. Usually there was also a discussion over it. Before we'll discuss impeachment, let's discuss this important point. Usually it was believed that president should give resignation, we should give resignation to the one who appointed us. But here, with respect to the president, he is giving resignation to the vice president who is below him. What is the reason for that? The reason is that because president, he is elected by the people, and he should give resignation to the people. If we look at the vice president, they are also elected by the members of the parliament. So definitely elected by the people, indirectly elected by the people. So this makes sense that he is resigning. He is giving his resignation to the vice president. Once VP receives the vice president, is this resignation bound to be accepted? Yes, he should accept it, and he should forward it to the speaker of the Lok Sabha, so that he will know that now the president is not there and vice president is going to be the president of the country. He will act as the president of the country. So this is about it. Or death has no calendar. We know that maybe this person will die before the completion of his term. Then there is a need to have a replacement there, and then also, or this person is impeached. So these are the ways this office can remain vacant. So now let's discuss this term impeachment. What is this impeachment? Before we will discuss impeachment, let's discuss, can the president be reappointed? 100% he can be reappointed. It is Article 57. It says eligibility for the re-election. He can be reappointed as many times as possible. There is no upper limit. But with respect to USA and Ireland, there is the upper limit, only 2 terms. We know that. Now let's discuss the impeachment. Let's finally discuss the impeachment. Impeachment. Initially I told you that this term is used only for president. Actually, what is this impeachment? What is the basic understanding of it? It is the process of removal. Special process of removal. It is called the impeachment in simpler terms. So, how this impeachment can be initiated against the president? This impeachment can be initiated only if he has violated the constitution. How he can violate the constitution? This violation of the constitution, it is not defined in the constitution itself. And how he can violate it? Is there any example? For example, he appoints anybody as a minister without the advice of the PM, then he is violating the constitution and he can be impeached for that. So this is the simplest example. Now the process of the impeachment is very much given to us, so let's try to understand what is the process of impeachment. First, this impeachment process, it can be initiated in either Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. So it can be initiated in both the houses. In the Lok Sabha, suppose if it is introduced in the Lok Sabha, this bill should be supported by 1/4 of the members. It should be supported by the 1/4 of the members. 1/4 of the members will write to the speaker. They will write to the speaker, and then the speaker will tell them to wait for 14 days. And these 14 days, nothing will happen. It will be, these 14 days window will be given to the president to think over it. This notice will be given to president to think over it, and if he wants to be represented, he will be represented. Then voting will happen on it about the impeachment of the president. Voting will happen after that in the Lok Sabha, where it should win by 2/3 majority. The special majority, flavor 4. Special majority, flavor 4. It should win by this majority. Once it wins by this majority, then this bill will go to the Rajya Sabha. This bill then will go to the Rajya Sabha. In the Rajya Sabha, the Rajya Sabha will investigate the case in a way in which the president will be given time to represent himself, or he can be represented by his lawyer. But here a question can be asked: can Attorney General represent president? No, attorney general cannot represent president because attorney general is for the government. So he cannot, attorney general cannot contest, cannot contest any case, cannot fight any case against the government. That is very much understood. So here the president is fighting against the government, so he cannot represent the president. Any other lawyer can represent him in this, where there is investigation going in Rajya Sabha. Once this investigation completes, then voting will happen in Rajya Sabha, voting, and it should also pass by the special majority 4. Special majority 4, which we had discussed in the majority, where we discussed the majority lectures. There we discussed the in detail what are the different types of majorities. We discussed that in a very much detailed manner. Which is majority of not less than 2/3 of the total strength of the house. Not a majority of not less than 2/3 of the total strength of the house. So once this is passed in the Rajya Sabha also, and then the president is impeached. And the same goes if the bill is placed in the Lok Sabha, and then there it should be, and then in the Lok Sabha it should be, supported by 1/4 of the members. Then it would be voted upon, where it should be passed by 2/3 majority, total 2/3 majority of the total strength of the house. Then it will go to the Lok Sabha, where it will be investigated, and president will be given time to represent himself, or his lawyer will represent him. Once there it is passed, then he would be considered impeached. And here this impeachment term, remember that it is only used for the president. So with this we complete our today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. If there is any confusion, please do write in the comments. About the, when we discuss union and executive, from now on there would be the discussion of various articles, and they won't be in sequence. So please remember that there is no problem in that, but just remember the articles which we had mentioned here. They are important for you. Rest you can ignore. So with this, let's try to solve a question with respect to this topic which we discussed today. Let's try to find out what type of question can be asked in the exam. Here the question says, with reference to the election of the President of India, consider the following statements. First statement, the Electoral College for the election of the President comprises elected members of both houses of the Parliament, yes, and elected members of the legislative assemblies of all states, yes, including the National Capital Territory of Delhi and the Union Territory of Puducherry, 100% correct. What about the status of J&K? That is not yet defined. That we will know in 2027 if J&K is still UT. Second statement, the system of election used for the president is proportional representation by means of single transferable vote and voting by an open ballot. Voting by an open ballot. Is it open ballot or closed ballot or secret ballot? It is secret ballot. So this makes it incorrect. It is not an open ballot. It is a secret ballot. So third statement, the value of the vote of each member of the parliament in uniform across all, the value of the vote of each member of the parliament is uniform across all MPs, while the value of the votes of each members of legislative assembly varies from state to state. This is true. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option 1 and option 3 only. And from the code given below, the correct code would be option B. So with this, I hope you had understood this topic very well. If there is any confusion, please do write into the comments. I will definitely answer that. If there is the need of anything else, we will definitely bring it for you guys. This initiative is yours. This is for you. We will help you to crack this exam if you will trust us. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you very much and have a nice day.